Petrol prices has exacerbated fuel scarcity across the country, causing long queues and exorbitant costs for motorists and commuters. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and NNPCL retail stations are selling fuel at 855 naira per litre, while independent marketers are charging up to 1,018 naira per litre.
Black market sellers are exploiting the crisis, charging up to 1,500 naira per litre. The scarcity has disrupted daily routines, increased transportation costs, and traders warn of a rise in goods and service prices. Commuters and motorists are experiencing significant inconvenience, with many struggling to cope with the situation. We're joined this morning by the former Deputy President, NLC and Industry Labor Relations Consultant, Amechi Asugwuni. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
All right. What do you make of the current reality that Nigerians are having to unfortunately bear with the increase in fuel price, the still, unavailability of the product, the long queues, the traffic, and the fact that Labour has now spoken up, and is trying to wade into the matter? What influence do you think that Labour's wading in will have on the matter?
The truth of the matter is the hike in price of petrol is something we have envisaged that it will continue. There is no other way to do something right than to solve it from the foundation. Labour is actually taking this step because their members are affected, because don't forget, Nigerian Labour Congress are guided by Constitution, and whether we like it or not, the recent minimum wage was focused on workers' welfare. Beyond Nigerian Labour Congress is Nigeria. And that is the largest space that requires our concern. The hike in price of fuel has affected the entire commodity and services in the society. And then the federal government begin to sense the impact of fuel price rise. Because what are we doing? You say you have deregulated the sector, and we are still paying subsidy in this gas, and they call it recovery. All of this must stop. You deregulate a sector, you allow private actors to now determine price by virtue of the law of demand and supply. That is not working. The Dangote refinery, how many days have they given for the refinery to start production and sale according to them? That will lead to crashing of price, which some of us never believe, because Dangote refinery is a private refinery, and our demand has continued to hit on let our refinery work. That is the solution to solving this local challenge. If Nigeria refinery fails to work, there is no way we can deregulate subject to international price, and you believe you can control the price here. How can you regulate price that is not under your control? So I believe and I support the action of Nigerian Labour Congress to ask for reversal. Beyond the reversal, it should be a request for reduction. Let federal government take back this subsidy. Remove price, take back this subsidy, pay subsidy for a period of time, put refineries to work, and then deregulate. And then Nigeria will give kudos to government action. Nobody is supporting subsidy, but removal of subsidy to subject it to international market is very, very unacceptable. And that is what we are.
Yeah, but do you not agree with the government's perspectives on this, that they can't continue to pay subsidy, and so, in the interim, Nigerians will definitely just have to bear the brunt, of the new moves that the government is making, in the petroleum sector?
Now, the same federal government tells you they are not paying subsidy. NNPC has also reviewed that the landing cost of petrol to this country is at 1,002, 1,003. And the same NNPC is selling at 800 now, not even 8, 600 and something. So that tells you that 50% of it has been subsidized. So who is paying that subsidy? The same federal government that tells you they are not paying subsidy, they are paying subsidy. So what kind of trick? So why not use the same means of NNPC, extend it to other marketers, and then let us know that fuel in Nigeria is at a certain price. Why Nigeria make effort to put refinery to work? The criminality around subsidy is immaterial to the policy of Nigeria to make refinery work. They are trying to make us focus on the corruption in the subsidy. We are pushing federal government to focus on who shut down the refineries in Nigeria. How come refineries in Port Harcourt, refineries in Warri, the one in Kaduna, no one is producing any? Who made it so? And where are the workers? Is that not worse in corruption? That you have workers in those factories, we budget money every year for rehabilitation and whatever they call it. Till today, it has not worked. How many dates have they actually given as timeline to make refinery work in Nigeria? None has commenced. And you think Nigeria will believe when they say they are on top of the situation? It's fake. So the only way is give us timeline. And that is why you see that maybe they are looking at it that every protest in Nigeria is limited to 1 day protest, 10 days, 3 days. By the time you see Nigerians move to conduct an indefinite protest and request for good governance to the extent that, including refinery, if you don't get a date, because everybody's angry. When you see the hunger protest that took place, that will tell you that the next protest may have limited name, because the fuel is the determinant for whatever we consume in Nigeria, and the average product in this country is also imported, and that tells you that we are now using Nigeria currency at the mercy of foreign currency, because we don't produce anything, making our own currency weaker daily. So it's not about subsidy continuation. It's about solving the problem to save Nigeria. Subsidy removal, we agree. The time was very wrong. You can't remove subsidy when you are not producing. I have told us in this program and other programs I appeared, and I said, what necessitated subsidy? Subsidy came alive because Nigeria felt that we have these resources, we are supposed to produce, and until we start production, since we're importing it, we need to take charge of setting payment. So they absorb the cost of importation and more or less other charges to make the price lesser. Unfortunately, over 6 decades, in this same country, we have been buying fuel from outside Nigeria. You produce your raw material, you export, you buy the refined product from another country. That is very, very unprogressive. And that is why you see that the quest for refinery coal is more significant than to talk about subsidy. Removal of subsidy is immaterial now. We're talking about let refinery work so that the price of fuel could drop. And that is the reason NSC is also giving their notice for price reversal.
What happens, just like we spoke with Mr. Dijomo earlier, what happens if, President Tinubu's government completely ignores the NLC, and tells you that they are working on it, just hold on?
It's not about Tinubu and NFC now. It's about federal government and Nigeria. And that is where we want everybody to know that people who want to put trust in NSC, you are putting trust in an organization that is also governed by constitution. Beyond the NSC notice to Tinubu or call the federal government, not even personally, it's not a personal cost now. We are looking at situation if federal government misses the opportunity to allow Nigerian Labour Congress get this issue resolved, Nigerians may be the one to issue that notice to federal government, and that will be worse. So it's not about neglecting. If you neglect the notice of NSC, you will not neglect the hike in price of fuel that eventually will touch the ordinary man in the streets who are not members of NSC. Don't forget, NSAS protest was never conducted by Nigerian Labour Congress. NBAC governance protest was not conducted by Nigerian Labour Congress. So the provocation is on the streets, and whereby they have seen that, okay, when they were doing NBAC governance, NSC just rounded up their negotiation of minimum wage, so they did not join. Now that NSC is the first to call for reversal, you know the danger it imposed, because that means any protest in that direction, NSC is one of them. And if NSC lead a protest in Nigeria, don't forget that is a legitimate platform that every other Nigerian that are also in that protest, or rather feeling that grudge, will eventually join that line. and it's not going to be easy for government to control. And that is why it's better for president to say something now about refinery, say something about timeline, what is holding what, and why. Because if we use Tinubu, if we use the refinery of, call it the
Dangote.
refinery of Dangote,
Yeah.
if you use the Dangote refinery as a yardstick to preach to Nigerians to calm down, that is why you see, I don't even think Mr. President has made reference to Dangote refinery, because that would be very shameful of federal government to begin to use a private-owned refinery as a yardstick to deliver Nigeria from the quagmire. So what we are facing now is a situation whereby federal government has failed to activate its own refineries to work. Then depending on a one-man business who believe also that he may take his product outside Nigeria to make profit. He didn't build that refinery to favor Nigeria. He didn't build that refinery for charity. And therefore, for him to make his money, he may target other African countries to export his product. And nobody will hold him liable because he's a business. Federal government must participate, and crash the price by getting involved.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us, Deputy President, NLC and Industry Labor Relations Consultant, Amechi Asugwuni. We look forward to having you again.
Thank you. You're welcome.